Hi everybody, I'm Sean Hayden, coming to you from Carl Dahl House at Evergreen Grove and Roots at Evergreen Grove. Thank you to everyone who follows us on Real-Time Animal Rescue. And if this is the first time you've seen any of our footage, thank you and welcome. We hope you follow us on here and see some of the things we do on our farm. It's a pretty exciting place. Today's kind of a cool day because I've invited a guest, and normally we focus on animal footage, but today I've invited a special guest who recently did some really interesting work here on the farm. So I want to talk to her and hear a little bit about the work she did. So I want to introduce you to Rebecca Butler. Rebecca is an animal behavior scientist who did some work here on the farm, and I just want to talk to you a little bit about that.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So, well, tell us about the study. Tell us a little bit about it and what interests you in studying what you did.
Sure. So, there really for about the last 50 years here in the United States, there has been a broadening and an expansion of human-animal interaction, and really exploring how interacting with animals can be therapeutic and even rehabilitative for humans. But more recently, there's been a lot of interest in the field of research, really looking at the animal end of that relationship. What are the animal welfare implications? Do the animals like it? Are certain animals better at it? And so I really was interested in a specific form of human-animal interaction called care farming, which Travis is beautifully demonstrating, which is just, we're not asking Travis to do anything other than what he's doing, and he's choosing to seek out pets from you and nuzzle you. And so since he has a preference and he could absolutely walk away, we can assume that he is views this interaction with you in a positive way, and so that improves his welfare.
Okay.
And so I was really interested in just looking at the animal experience in a human-animal interaction.
Okay, cool. So, I mean, there's a lot of farms and a lot of goats in the world. Why did you pick this place to do it?
Well, I sort of always go for the underdog.
Okay.
Goats are my animal of focus, which actually are not very well researched in the human-animal world. And on the social work, human side, I have a strong focus in substance use and co-occurring disorders.
Okay.
And so the work that you all do here was especially interesting to me.
Okay, that makes sense. I know it was a lot of fun for us to have you here, and I know some of our residents got to participate, which was super cool. So tell me about what the actual work looked like when you were collecting data.
Absolutely. So we randomly assigned the goats. So we chose, at the time there were 18, and so we randomly chose 6 because each of the 3 residents who also volunteered their time were paired up with 2 goats. And for 3 weeks we came here in this study pen, and the humans went through a very brief training on the protocol, and it was really simply grooming, allowing, oh, Travis has an opinion.
He always does.
Right. Was that too close? Really letting the goats see if they would choose to interact with the humans in a basic grooming series with a hard comb, a curry comb, a soft comb, or would they try to walk away from the humans. And the protocol was set that once the goats walked away, the humans were not allowed to reapproach the goats. The goats really were in charge. And so we followed them for 3 weeks, 3 times a week for 15 minutes for each of the individual goats. And what we found was pretty exciting.
Okay.
Ferdinand was one of our favorites. Travis here was excluded because, as you can tell, he really seeks out human interaction. So we were afraid that that would bias the research. On the other end was a goat named Ferdinand who was not super into it. He spent, I don't know where he is.
Yeah, he's right there.
Oh, Ferdinand!
He's behind us.
Yeah, he is, with Lucky, his friend.
Yep.
So Ferdinand spent the first probably week of the study standing at the door, just patiently waiting to walk away. He never approached the human himself. He chose to just do his own thing. And then halfway through the research, he began to initiate interaction with his handler. And what was also really surprising is even though the amount of time that Ferdinand spent in human interaction was less than some of the other goats, we also saw an increase in his other positive behaviors. So he spent more time exploring the pen, more time nudging and scratching, which we consider to be positive behaviors. So even though the human interaction wasn't quite as long, his other behaviors demonstrate that he was feeling comfortable and that it wasn't a stressful situation for him.
Okay, cool. So before we get into kind of the outcomes,
Sure.
what was the experience like? Because this place is unique. So we do animal rescue work,
Right.
but we also have this mission at the same time to help people with substance use and mental health issues.
Yeah.
And they were part of that research team with you.
Yeah.
So for you as a researcher, what was that experience like?
Can I talk about one specific client?
Yeah, we won't use last names. But
Absolutely.
yeah,
I won't even use a first name. So you could just tell, like, some people are really drawn to the animals. All of the men self-selected to participate. And at the last minute, there had to be a change. And I could just tell from day one that this one client just wasn't using, the, oh, look at you, and
Right.
yeah, come here, and just sort of a little more reserved and, followed the protocol and did great. But it was just like a little more, like I said, reserved. And by the end of the study, he had some ideas about goat behavior. He had some ideas about things that we should look for. He was waiting when I would drive up to the farm. And so I think it's a real testament that, one, you let humans kind of take their time to make, kind of have their own decisions about the interaction, just like we wanted the animals to. And both of them had kind of a transformative experience.
I mean, I think that ties right into what we're doing here.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's sort of the secret sauce of this
Yes,
place
yes.
is we know that, anecdotally, we knew that human lives were improving and animal lives were improving, but it was so cool for us to have an opportunity to really look at that scientifically.
Absolutely.
From the animal side. Because I think the
Yes.
human side naturally gets more attention.
Sure.
But we had those questions too, like, and we've talked about this. What are the ethics of doing something
Right,
like this, right?
right.
Are the animals getting the best care possible?
Right.
Are they benefiting, or is it a detriment to them? So
100%.
we were so excited to host the research. So you completed your project.
I did.
What were the outcomes?
Really exciting. So there was a 50% increase in human-animal interaction across the 3 weeks. So all 6 goats collectively chose to spend more time with the humans. So even little Ferdinand, his growth wasn't quite as much as Autumn's and Slaughter's.
Okay.
But he had an increase. And together the goats chose, because I think one of the things that was really important to me was essentially testing preference. The goats had a choice. They could interact with each other. They could scratch on the fence. They could just stand there and chew. They didn't have, the choice was theirs to interact with the humans. And at the end, what we found was up to 84% of the time, they chose to interact with the humans.
That's amazing. It's so cool to really give them an opportunity to exercise their own free will.
Yep.
And see what they do with it.
Absolutely.
Right? Because a lot of times in structured animal interaction environments, they don't have that
They don't
element
have
of
choice.
right?
Absolutely.
Whether that's in, whether it's like an entertainment or a petting zoo situation, they're not really given that free choice.
Correct.
So here it's a little bit more unstructured.
Yes.
We're actually here to create a sanctuary for the animals.
Yes.
And that's so encouraging to hear
Yeah.
that there appears to be a benefit for them.
Yes.
In that process, because that's really what we want.
Right. Well, I think that's what distinguishes care farming from other forms of human-animal interaction is you're not asking the animals to do anything in terms of the repertoire of their behaviors that they wouldn't be doing anyway.
Yeah.
You're just allowing humans to come into their space and share that interaction, and so it does really promote their welfare. The other interesting piece that we found there were individual variations. So, okay, sure, individual variations. Some goats really sought out the interaction, and they those that sought out the human interaction were 12 times more likely to stay compared to the goats that were second or would choose to come later, and they spent 16% less time.
Interesting.
So there's definitely so I think for kind of application in the care farming world, really get to know your animals, because some of them want to have that interaction, and those would be your ideal therapy animals, as you would, where other animals, they might need shorter durations or none at all.
Okay. So, because I know you're a scientist, I'm sure you looked at this outcome and you were excited by what you found, but I'm sure the next thought was, what's next? Right?
Absolutely.
So where do you want to kind of take your research, as you move forward?
Well, one thing that I was not prepared to evaluate, but caught on the camera because we recorded all of the behaviors, was participatory or anticipation. I shouldn't have done that. So on day 1, the goats had to be guided by the handlers into the study pit, and around midweek and definitely by the end of the week, they would just respond to the name and follow the name. They knew what to expect. So again, I'm curious if that's kind of an indication of welfare and preference, that they again don't have to choose to come in here, could choose to walk away, and what are kind of physiologically what's going on for them around anticipating a positive human interaction.
Yeah, and I know at one point early on when you were designing the study, there was an interest in trying to measure some of the physiological impacts of that human-animal interaction. So there were some challenges in how to do that the right way, and maybe in the future we'll be able to do some of that too, because that would be really cool to see if there's a physiological change from that interaction. I suspect there probably is, but you know, that's not proof, right? We need to study it. So hopefully we get a chance to do that. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Do you want to, I mean, this is going to go out to the internet and all of our fans. So is there anyone, your school or anyone that you want to shout out for helping you with the project?
Oh, absolutely. My professors, Tom Parsons and Jenny Punt at the University of Pennsylvania School of Veterinary Medicine, and all of my animal welfare and behavior classmates there. And I think just, you know, in general, the more humans start to really critically think about their relationships with animals and consider the fact that animals are having their experience with us, it can really help to improve their lives across multiple domains, whether it's lab sciences and the, you know, our need for pharmaceuticals, or it's industrialized agriculture and the foods that are on our plate. Just really beginning to kind of think from the animal's perspective what their experience is would really advance kind of all animals' welfare.
That's amazing. Well, I hope that if we can support that in any way, you know, if this is an opportunity to do some more research here, we would love to be involved with that. We're grateful that you chose us, because this was a great experience for us and a great experience for our residents here. Yeah. And now you're locked in, because I know you're attached to some of these goats now. So we know we're gonna see you here at the farm, and I hope we'll get you again on Real-Time Animal Rescue. We'll find some cool things to talk about and bring that to our fans. And before we say bye, I just want to shout out one other person. I'm gonna grab the camera. Let me grab that camera. I want to shout out our cameraman. Where is he? Braden. Hi, Braden. Braden's a participant in our Roots program, which is our outpatient care farming program for young people ages 12 to 24. And Braden is a rock star and a pretty good cameraman too. So I just want to say thank you to Braden.
Yay,
thank
Braden.
you.
And want to thank all of you for joining us. And I don't know how to work the camera, so we'll say goodbye for now. And